All right, everybody. So let's get it together and let's get going. So I'm going to zip through the Fidelity 500 pretty quickly today. I know we have a lot of new agents on this call, so welcome and welcome to learning a little bit about some life insurance today. We're going to talk a little bit about the Fidelity 500 to start off with. Then we will move to the second part, which is going to be the Trendsetter product. Pretty exciting products overall that I think that are great for you to be introducing. If we just kind of get to the website first and foremost, fidelity500.com, as you see up in the top left-hand corner in the address bar, is the area that you're going to have to go to first for all of you new guys. Make sure that you get there. You're going to have to hit the register button. You cannot use Internet Explorer. It can only be done in Firefox. If you're using Internet Explorer 10, it will not work correctly. So make sure you're using Firefox. Get in there, get registered. Once you get registered, then you will be able to migrate all of the different areas on the Fidelity 500 website. So let's take care of a little bit of house cleaning first. Let's go through, the use of this website and all of the different access points that you're going to have. So as we see here, you have some basic information. The contract now is something that you're not really going to need to deal with. You're going to follow the instructions that are in the contracting that you received from Crystal when you originally started doing the contracting. That's the way that you progress. Follow those instructions and go from there. There is going to be a video that you see right here. This is going to give you the basics on the Fidelity accelerated benefit product, the way that the product works and all of the ins and outs of it. We're going to cover most of it today, but it's definitely advised that you watch this short video. When you do the hybrid testing on this hybrid term product, at that point in time, they will have some questions that refer specifically to this video, so make sure that you do that. Your home screen is obviously where we're at right now. That's going to bring you to your home screen. The About Us section, you could read through it. I'm not going to read this to you. Shows ratings of the company. Fidelity Life Association has an A- rating. Talks about some of the different options and talks a little bit about the product itself. When you get back to that home screen, you'll see some other areas that are important. Quoting is obviously important. Really quickly, how you can pull a quote up here, you can just simply select the state of market. When you go in, put a birth date in there if you were talking to someone, male, female, smoking status, and then our rate class. As we talk about the underwriting guideline, we're going to refer to that. You should have that underwriting guideline on your desk to refer the appropriate rate class or health class that you're going to be dealing with. You have the preferred plus and the preferred, the regular and the regular plus. As you go down to the regular, the rates are going to go up. You have to be conscious that if someone has health conditions, health concerns, if we're dealing with certain high blood pressure factors, poor family history, you're going to want to reference that field underwriting guideline and make sure that you put the appropriate rate class in there. The last thing that you want to do is quote someone for Preferred Plus that had a heart attack 3 years ago, and you know that they're not going to get Preferred Plus. And quite honestly, if they had a heart attack 3 years ago, this is probably not going to be the product for them anyway. Once you select your rate class, at that point you can go through the type of insurance that you'd like to do. The term products that we're really talking about are going to be your 20 or your 30-year terms or your 10 years. Try and stick to some even amounts. It makes things nice and easy. So if we did a 30-year term, we're going to pick our face amount. The face amount on this particular hybrid product is available up to $1 million. So if you go anything over $1 million, then we're going to be looking at a different product. So once we click our compare, now what this is going to do is this is going to show us a series of different products, and it's going to show a comparison for these different products that are out there. Now, once you get your writing number and then you have your ability to access the Fidelity website, you can quote the Fidelity product without going through these steps. You'll be able to go directly to the Fidelity website and do your quotes from there. When you do it that way, you will only see the Fidelity product pricing. The reason that I'm doing it like this for demonstration purposes today is because I really want you to understand the difference in premiums when you're talking about a Prudential, a MetLife, a Banner, and those companies that are going to require full paramedical examination before the issuance of the policy. The beauty of this product is the fact that they will issue the policy on a hybrid basis, that's where we get that hybrid name, without having the paramedical examination completed. And we'll touch on how they get to that. But what you can see here, and really when you look at it from an annual basis, it looks like it's a little bit more money. But when you really break it down, if we went to the lowest price product at $349 on an annual basis, and we wanted to look at that on a monthly basis, we just simply divide that by 12. We're looking at $29 a month. And then if we scroll our eyes down to the Fidelity Life product right here, that $29 a month goes from $445 on an annual basis, really is only going up to $37 a month. Now, Americans today and the people that we're talking to, we're all about convenience. We're all about the ease of issuing a policy. Nobody wants to have to deal with that paramedical examination. Nobody wants to have to go through all of those steps. And quite honestly, for some of you that are on this phone that I've worked with for quite some time, you know who you are, we have written a ton of life insurance policies that people have never completed the paramed, therefore you've just wasted your time. It's all about immediate gratification. It's all about being able to get that policy, get it into Fidelity, have it start going through the process, and that way you can get paid in a timely manner. So you want to see that you have your $445 price here for this particular person, a very competitive price. When you look at it on an annual basis, it's not that much money. And because of the ease of use, because of the immediate gratification, the ability to save $10 a month is not really going to make or break the opportunity. The reason why I'm spending so much time on this is because you're going to get people that are going to say, oh, well, I just got a quote from Protective, and I just got a quote from MetLife, and it was a lot cheaper. But what's going to happen is MetLife is going to require that full paramedical examination where we can issue the policy within 24 to 48 hours, have a policy in their hand in a week or two's time, and then at that point in time, you are also getting paid in a timely manner, as opposed to waiting for the paramedical examination to be completed and all the other areas that we deal with when we're dealing with a life insurance policy. So let's go back to the main application page here and on this home page. So we've covered our quote, the get contracted. We're not going to deal with today. You're going to want to follow the instructions in your original appointment paperwork. Contact us is also not necessary, but what we do want to look at is we want to look at agent resources. The agent resources is going to give you everything that you're going to need in order to stay abreast of what's going on with this product, to be able to speak about this product and have this information at your fingertips. So let's start at the top and work our way down. Very simply, the ticket app. This is a short, abridged version of the application. This is all you need to do in order to complete an application, is fill this form out. Those of you that don't like the computer, no problem. Print out a couple of copies of these. Give yourself a goal that you are going to do at least 2 of these every single week. Fill these out. Start talking about it. And then what you will do is after you obtain this information, you will then have a choice. Your choices are as follows. You can fax this form over to Brokers Alliance, and the fax number and information is easily enough located right on the sheet. You can also upload this information, or for those of you that are computer savvy, you can scan and email it. Right on the application itself, it has that right here. So follow the instructions, fill out the application. You're not collecting premium payment. If that makes it a little bit more of a comfortable situation for you, fill this form out, get all of the information. This information must be complete because this is how the application is done on the back end. Once you complete this form and you upload it, email it, or fax it to Brokers Alliance, at that time, Brokers Alliance is going to reach out to your client and complete the application on your behalf. So what they will do is they will have this information in front of them, and it will expedite the process of you getting that enrollment done. If you are a Spanish-speaking agent and you're dealing in the bilingual market, they do not speak Spanish over there, so you will have to get with myself so that way we can go through what that application process is going to look like, and then you can do the enrollment with your client if they do have a problem with communication, and you can complete that directly on the Fidelity site. It is not a very long application. It is very easy to migrate. I'll be honest. This is much easier. So if you're scratching your head thinking, well, I want to do it on my own, for the amount of business that is being transmitted at this point, don't bother doing it on your own. Fill out the form, send it in via the appropriate models, which are going to be your email, it is going to be a fax, and make sure that all of this information is obtained correctly. As I said, once this information goes to Brokers Alliance, they will then call your client and then they will complete the application. But it's still not done at that point. Your client still has to engage to complete the application via an email signature or voice signature with Brokers Alliance and the Fidelity product. This is going to come directly from the carrier. So your client is going to get an email. They're going to have to verify the information on the application, and they are going to have to electronically or e-sign that application. Otherwise, the time that you've spent in talking about the product and introducing the product is completely wasted. If when you look at this ticket application you have any questions, feel free to email, give us a call, we can go through it with you, but it is very basic 101. If you've completed a health insurance application, you have most of this information already obtained, and it's just a matter of you filling this information out. You will want to be conscious because there are some pieces of information that are located on this ticket app that are not located on our Blue Cross or other carriers' applications. Very simple process, and in your section here that you're supposed to leave with the client, this is something that you can email to the client so that way they have it in front of them, because this information is additional that will be asked on the verification call and the completion of the application. They should know their doctor's name and address and this information, but if you are obtaining that information on your call, fill it out for them, send it to your client. That way you're doing a little extra step for them and they'll feel good about it. They are going to need the basic information on socials and date of births when it comes for beneficiaries, so make sure that you're conscious of that as well. And then the checking account number information in the secured transaction is listed below here on the ticket app. Very simple. It's the easiest life insurance application you could possibly ever find or fill out. It doesn't get any easier than that. And if you are asking and you're talking about this product, you will very simply start transmitting business and start making extra money. It's all about adding an additional revenue stream for you as an agent because the pay cycle is fast. The commissions are good. Now, I know that we're not all driven by commissions. However, you're going to make money by offering this product. And if you're not offering the product and you're not discussing it, that just means you don't understand it or you don't understand the process. And that's why we'll continue to do these meetings until you're very comfortable with it and we see that production coming from you. The second piece is going to be the certification guide. You're going to want to look through the certification guide as well. It's going to give you the ins and outs of the product. We're going to cover some of the key factors that you're going to need to understand today. But this certification guide is a 20-page guide. I am obviously not going through every page with you today, but we are going to talk about some of the key selling points of this product, and then we will also go through a little bit of the sales script. You need to go through this. I know that you have a mountain of information that you're addressing right now with healthcare reform and annual election period for our seniors and the Medicare space, but this is something that you're going to want to be comfortable with. If nothing else, as we move past through healthcare reform, it is a product that we are going to be talking about more and more. So in this product guide that you're looking at right here on your screen, you'll also see there is going to be an underwriting guide. All of that information is located in this particular document, 20-page document. Let me just kind of get through it to some different areas. So let's talk a little bit about issue ages. First, right here, located on page 5 of this document, you'll see here the length of term is based upon what their age is and what you can issue those ages up to. So you can see that listed here, very straightforward. And any limitations as far as minimum or maximum amounts based upon the age of a client. What you're also going to see here is the premium classes that are available. And then as we look at some additional information, these are some table ratings, illustrations that you need to spend some time and look through. You should all be able to read through and look through an underwriting guideline like this and have some very basic understandings of how it's going to work. Okay? So as we move through the underwriting guideline, I want to kind of cover the approach of what they're going to be dealing with. You are going to have to be a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. You are going to have a green card. You cannot be here illegally. They must live and work in the United States, and they have to have been seen by a physician in the past 5 years if they are older than 55. You can see your basic kick-out questions here. We are all accustomed to kick-out questions when it comes to uninsurable conditions. If one of your clients has these conditions, you can just clearly not even take the application. At that point, we would do a little extra research with Brokers Alliance to find an appropriate fit plan. The Fidelity Life program is just not going to work. If they're going to be ordering APSs, which are attending physician statements, you can see the listings here with their age bands and the amount of the policies. Again, very basic kind of things. Some more examples of what tier ratings that your clients would be dealing with or addressing based upon particular conditions. We are not going to go through all of these, but know that it's here at your fingertips, and it's something that you do need to be aware of. Okay? Some more information about DUIs, moving violations, cholesterol, blood pressure, family history, all very important things, and that's why you want to have one of these files on your desk so you can refer to it when you're having that conversation. Bill charts, very important. Obviously, if you have someone that's too short for their weight or too short for their height, based on how much they weigh, you can see that here, and you can see the tier ratings as well. If they're off the charts, they're off the charts. We are also very aware of that. Some more continuation of some prescription drugs and some probing questions that you'll have when you're dealing with what medication someone may be taking, as well as poor driving history or a non-valid driver's license. I have gotten clarification that they don't have to have a driver's license for this particular product. They do prefer them to have a driver's license because they want to look at they want to see a clean driving record. If someone's got multiple suspended licenses, if they've got multiple DUIs and lots of traffic infractions, then that is not going to look good for this policy because they really look at it, as many life insurance carriers do, as the way that you quality of life and what you do and how you treat things and kind of how you act out in public. So be conscious of that as well. And then if it is something that is that we need to address with a different policy, we can do so. We do have to have, like any life insurance policy, you can't overinsure. You can't obviously get $1 million worth of life insurance if you're making $5,000 a year. It just doesn't make sense to have that. There has to be that financial liability, and that's really Life Insurance 101, which I know that most of you should really have. When we deal with foreign travel, occupations, and vacations, if you're dealing with someone that spends a large amount of time in Iraq, this is probably not going to be the policy for them. Billing modes, really important that you understand how people pay for this policy, what your billing modes are. Credit card payment is not available in all states, but I believe we have it available in the state of Florida for ongoing payments. They can do a direct bill, they can do a credit card, or they can do an EFT for annual, semi-annually, or quarterly. Monthly has got to be an electronic form of payment, and my advice is that everyone that you do for this particular product uses the Rapid App System monthly EFT or credit card. It's just a much better longevity of the policy. Okay. All right. So now let's talk a little bit about the product itself as we deal with the product. The beauty of this hybrid product, before we get into the case status and additional resources, is going to be the way that this policy issues. And the ability for you to say to your client, I can have a policy issued in your hands within 24 to 48 hours. The ability for you to issue this policy on a hybrid basis is the value that this product brings to your clients. If you're doing a policy, and let's use easy numbers, for example, let's do $1 million policy. If you're doing $1 million policy with someone, the term hybrid refers to how it's going to be issued. And the way that it's going to be issued at 70% for accidental death and 30% of that face value for all cause. So I'm talking with a client today. I can get them a $1 million policy for a great price. They're very happy about it. That works well for them. And what we will do is we will get that policy sent over, get it signed. Once the signature is completed, payment is in-house, the policy is issued. With no problems, with no paramedical examination, no blood work, no nurse coming out to the house, no interruption of your normal daily activities. Well, with that policy is going to be issued with $700,000 worth of coverage for accidental death, not to be confused with accidental death and dismemberment. This is just accidental death. So if I accidentally get hit by a bus, my beneficiary is going to get $700,000 worth of benefits. If I should die from cancer, heart attack, stroke, or any other reason, then I would be receiving, my beneficiary would be receiving $300,000 worth of death benefit. Once that person completes their paramedical examination, and a regular exam is not going to count because of certain tests that Fidelity is going to require to be completed, well, as soon as that's done, those results are going to go back to Fidelity, and they're going to finalize the underwriting. If all things are equal to what was originally issued on the application, based on the RX check, the MVR, which is our motor vehicles, and an MIB, if that is equal to what is happening on the paramed, then that policy will be issued at the face amount all cause. In the event that something happens really bad, let's just say that they end up getting diagnosed with cancer, or they end up having a major sickness or illness between the time that they took this policy from you and the time that they get the paramedical examination completed, well, at that point, they can leave the policy at the 70-30 split and keep that $300,000, as per my last example, as an all-cause death benefit. They may be uninsurable at that point. So it's really important that you urge them to get this paramedical done, but quite honestly, if they don't get it done, you're still getting paid, they still have life insurance, you've still given them a level of protection, and worst case scenario, they keep it at a 70-30 split. And 9 months down the road, after you see that they haven't completed their paramedical examination, well, guess what you're going to do? You're going to call that client, and now you're going to get them a policy that it is going to have a paramedical examination, because at that point, they're overpaying for their health insurance. So it's really important, their life insurance. I've got health insurance on the brain. They are overpaying for that $300,000 worth of all-cause benefit. Remember, it's not accidental death and dismemberment. I've heard many, agents out there saying, oh, well, they don't want an accidental death plan. It is not an accidental death plan. It is just the way that the policy is issued, so we can get that policy in your hand, Mr. Jones, within 24 to 48 hours. So it's a great product if you're presenting it the correct way. It's a fantastic product for all of us who've got busy lives. And especially for us, that in the next 6 months, we're not going to have time to breathe. You can imagine if anybody on this call was to purchase a policy, life insurance policy today, when are you going to get your paramedical exam done if you don't do it in the next 2 weeks? On a Sunday? Well, hopefully you'll be working on a Sunday as well. However, my point is there's not a lot of time, and everybody's got busy lives. Who's taking the kids to soccer practice? Who's the last thing on their mind after they get off the phone with you is going to be doing that paramedical and exam. And there are going to be 1,000 excuses for them not to do it, and only one person who is hounding them to get it completed, and that's going to be you as the agent. So you got to be conscious of that, be comfortable with delivering that message, and be comfortable with talking about it. Case status is going to bring you right to the Fidelity Life website. Now, on the Fidelity Life website, once you have your username and login, you will be able to log in and see what is going on with these policies. Is the policy been initiated? Has the signature been complete? What is happening in the case status? You will need your user ID and password in order to access this. If you're doing quotes, this would be another place that you would do your quotes, but you can do that directly in your login screen as well. But if we did the particular hybrid program, when you're doing the hybrid program, you're going to want to log in to pull those quotes. So it's important that you save these as favorites and you're able to log in and you write down your username and password and you save it. Shockingly enough, with all of these websites, there is the little thing that says forgot password, which you can always use, so that way you can get your password. Okay? Forgot password right here in case you forgot it. However, if you haven't completed your contracting, you haven't completed your hybrid test, you haven't gotten an email from Brokers Alliance that you have a number and that you're active in the system, then you can't use forgot password. Additional resources, a lot of great materials here. State availability is not really something that we need to talk too much about today. If you've got family in other states and you have a non-resident license and that policy is going to be signed in that state, then you are going to need to, you can reference the state availability. The producer guide is what we were just looking at. There's a consumer guide that's very straightforward that this can be sent to a client. This is a little piece of marketing materials that you can utilize. It is a PDF, very simple. I go back to my additional resources. The pharmacy guide is going to give you a level of understanding from different drugs and how those drugs are treated. Sample policy is exactly that. And those of you that do not or have not have these rates at a glance on your desk next to your phone so you can talk about it, you need to do that today. You need to go, register, find this, print it up, put it next to your desk, so that way when you're talking to someone and you find out it's Mr. Jones and he's about 45 years old, and I can say to Mr. Jones, hey, Mr. Jones, by the way, if I could offer you $100,000 worth of life insurance for somewhere around $20 a month, would that interest you? Well, no, I need more than $100,000. Okay, well, we can do up to $1 million today. Issued within 24 to 48 hours, have that policy in your hand within a week or so, and guess what, Mr. Jones, you don't have to do a paramed for the next 6 months. I'm going to urge you to do that paramedical examination now, that way if something happens, but you know what, don't worry about it, we're going to get you some coverage, and it's at an affordable price. And again, these prices are competitive in the marketplace. They are term policies. So they are not a policy that is somebody that's looking for whole life or looking for cash value. But keep in mind that the people that ask you for those policies typically don't have an inkling of what the cost of those policies are really going to be and how much that is going to end up costing them in an out-of-pocket expenses. This is for the person who doesn't have life insurance. This is for the person who may have life insurance through their job because it's never enough. Those of you that have sold this before and talked about life insurance know you're working, unless you're a higher-end executive, you usually have once or twice your income, and that's on an annual renewable term. And if you leave, you don't have your life insurance anymore. And you're never going to be as young as you are today and as healthy as you are today. Okay, so now the time is to do it. And if you ask and you're talking about it and you make a conscious effort as we move to healthcare reform on every call, to ask what they're doing for their life insurance, and they say, I don't have any, and you could whip out your handy little hybrid sheet here, and you could say, hey, you're about 40 years old, I can get you $500,000 worth of coverage for about $40 a month. How does that sound? We can get that set up for you quickly today. It's a very short application. In fact, I have most of the information now. For all the people that say no to you, same conversation can apply. So make sure that you have this. Make sure that you have this in front of you. You're going to see the first set of rates are going to be rates at a glance. Second rates are a little bit more specific, breaking up 10, 20, 30-year terms. Again, all the way up to $1 million with the same age banding. It's a quick reference sheet. You're not giving somebody the fine-tuned price. If you want the fine-tuned price, you just simply go back to the main site, or you're going to go back to your Fidelity site, and that's where you're going to actually pull the real quote out. And then you'll have the specific quote based on rate class and things of that nature. Work forms are going to be payment option forms, change requests. That's something that we don't need to cover today. Know that it's at your fingertips on the Fidelity 500 website. and that way you have access to it if somebody wants to make changes. Policy is very simple. It's very attractive. You should be talking about this. You should be comfortable with this particular product because this particular product can literally add thousands of dollars a month to your income just by asking. And when you start really looking at the amount, if you can simply collect yourself, $30 worth of premiums on a weekly basis over the month, what you're going to end up with is you are going to end up with somewhere around an additional $1,000+ in commissions just for asking. Little $30 policies a month. I mean a week. If you collect $120 worth of premium on an annual basis and we take that number and we figure out what your commissions are going to be, you're talking about an extra $900, $870 some odd dollars in your pocket for those little $30 policies. They add up. We're not fishing for the $200 worth of premium. We're not fishing for those big premium dollars on this product. Simplified, term, limited questions. The questions are out there. They're normal questions. It's not a simplified, underwritten product, but the way that the product is issued is in a simplified basis. And the fact that your client doesn't have to jump through hoops in order to get this policy issued, because we are all busy and we need to understand that and we need to take advantage of those situations. Great product overall. I want to pause for a minute before we get to the Trendsetter and just see if anybody's got any questions. Does anybody have any questions? Fantastic. So then I will anticipate that everybody on this call has 2 Fidelity hybrids by the end of the month. Perfect. Very good. All right. So now let's talk a little bit about the hybrid product. So now the hybrid product is a Trendsetter product that is very interesting. Now the way that this policy works, it has multiple different layers of product built into and rolled under one umbrella. This policy is also, I guess I would refer to it as simplified issue with no paramedical examination under certain policy face amounts, which we will get to. But the beauty of this policy is that it is going to encompass a life insurance policy, a chronic illness accelerated death benefit, a critical illness accelerated death benefit, and a terminal illness accelerated death benefit, all rolled into one policy. So what that means is if I get diagnosed with a chronic illness, I am not able to perform 2 of the 6 ADLs, or those are activities of daily living. So if I can't bathe or I can't dress, then I can start accessing these benefits. I can access a portion of these benefits on a percentage basis, and that percentage is based on the face amount that I was given. So if, for example, someone is not wanting to purchase long-term care and another product, long-term care and critical, long-term care and life insurance, this is kind of a fit for them. It's not true long-term care insurance. So please don't be fooled that this is a full replacement for long-term care, because it is not. However, it does bridge a gap for someone that ends up with a chronic illness to access some money or some funds for them to take care of themselves on a critical illness basis. On a chronic illness, that's where they're going to access that long-term care benefit. When you're talking about a critical illness, that's what we're already accustomed to. We're selling a lot of USAble critical illness policies. So this has that portion of critical illness built into this life insurance policy. So again, you can access a percentage of the face amount of the policy based upon the diagnosis of a critical illness. Now, where critical illness death benefits are different than terminal illness death benefits is because I could be diagnosed with that critical illness, but I'm not going to die. That's why we sell so much critical illness these days, is because critical illness gives access to our clients if they get diagnosed with a condition that, quite honestly, many people and most people are living through these days. You have a heart attack, you may live for another 20 years. You end up with cancer, you may live for another 15 or 20 years. It is not a death sentence that it used to be. In the past, we've always had terminal illness riders on our life insurance policies. And all of you that are very well familiar with the FCL products, you know that the accelerated death benefit is built into our FCL term life products. With this product, it has the terminal illness, and that's when the doctor tells you you are going to die. Okay? You know you're going to die. Period. End of story. There's no mismatches about it. They're going to need doctor's records that say, Mr. Jones, the time is here, you're going to die. The critical illness is you've been diagnosed, you're going to live, we're going to try and recover from this. Now you can access some of the money of that face amount in order for you to pay your medical bills, in order for you to live. If you got diagnosed with a serious form of ALS and you want to go to Tahiti, you want to spend some time with the family, you want to go back to the homeland, wherever that may be for you, go, and you can access those monies with this critical illness accelerated death benefit. At the same time, if you know you're going to die, it's a little bit tougher, but you get that terminal illness rider that's built into this policy as well. Does everybody understand those three different areas of this policy and what makes this much more than just a life insurance policy? And I would appreciate everybody on the call typing in yes, so I know that you are actually not just nodding your head. Now, as we look at that particular aspect of the product, the beauty that I love about this product is how you're going to introduce it. So how many people do you talk to that you say on a regular basis, you know, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about life insurance today, and they say, oh, I already have term insurance, I already got it covered. Well, now this policy is that beautiful sentence, which I absolutely love, that says, do you have the old term or do you have the new term? Now, I know that everybody on this call is capable of that one sentence. Mr. Jones, would you like some life insurance today? I have some policies that we could look at. No one has enough life insurance, and quite honestly, you are going to die. Oh, no problem, Mark. Thank you very much. I have my life insurance. I've got a great little product, term policy I got about 10 years ago. Great, Mr. Jones. Let me ask you a really simple question. Do you have the old term or the new term? Mr. Jones is going to scratch his head a little bit and say, what's the new term? Boom. There you go. Now you are talking about the product. Well, Mr. Jones, we've got a life insurance product that has three different areas that it will cover. Not only will it cover you for death, we will cover you in the event that you get diagnosed with a critical illness, you'll get diagnosed with a chronic illness, and you'll be able to access this death benefit. You don't have to die for your family to get some money in order with that policy. So a great policy. Mr. Anthony likes my boom. Boom, baby. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the age bands and how we can deal with this policy on a non-med basis. Now, I've run the rates on these products, and what you're going to find out is that you are going to get a discount when you get over $249,000 worth of a face amount. And the reason why is because once you get over $249,999 in a face amount policy, well, then it's fully underwritten. The company understands that that person is going to have to go through a fully underwritten process. It's not just going to be a non-med, and therefore the rates are a little cheaper. So if you've got someone that may be on the fence with their underwriting, they may have some questionable underwriting, go under that $249,999 value as far as that face amount. It will be a couple of dollars more expensive, but the likelihood of them keeping that rate class where you're talking about is probably not going to happen. And that's something that you're going to have to define and understand with your clients, but there's no reason that they couldn't have a $249,000 Trendsetter product. They couldn't buy a different policy, an extra critical illness policy, a little extra life insurance policy from a different carrier, making sure that you're addressing those medical needs from an underwriting standpoint. Because with that underwriting, once they get through and they're doing a fully underwritten plan, as you can see here in this chart, it's really important that you're noticing that, and you're working through it because you are the advisor. You have to give them the appropriate advice. I'll give you an example of a client that I'm working with on this product. He might have possibly had something going on, but he thinks it's something from when he used to run, and it's some people say runners have a good enlarged heart, and it's better for him, and X, Y, and Z. You know, I cannot get this gentleman to a fully underwritten plan. I don't want to deal with the fully underwritten basis of it. So he's under the age of 60, so we're going to look at a policy, and we've already done the illustrations of under $249,000. I would much prefer to get this policy issued, have it in his hand, let him go through that process. Then we could look at something fully underwritten, but I don't want him to have a negative MIB hit for him because remember, when you're dealing with life insurance, you are dealing with MIB, and there is that communication that goes back and forth. So you have to make sure that you're addressing that and make sure that you're handling it appropriately with your clients. It's very important to make sure that you understand that. But the policy can be, you know, done up to $999, $1 million minus one, and but you will have to deal with underwriting, paramedical examinations, and things like that. Mr. Anthony's asking a question. Do you have a choice of non-med 1 to 249 or fully underwritten? No, you would have the fully. You do not have a choice of that. It's going to be the one or the other based on the face amount of the product. All right. So moving along, you know, some other areas that are, you know, of concerns. It's going to kind of go through the competitive advantage. You should all have this document. If those of you that don't have this document, feel free to shoot me an email. I'll send it out to you. I know David has sent it out a bunch of times as well, but we do have a lot of new agents on the call today, and I want to make sure that you have it and you have it in your hands. And then we're going to go through next the quoting on this product and how you would use and access WinFlex Web. So I do want everybody to make sure that they're taking notes for the next section of this process today. Does anybody have any questions about this product? The basics that we're covering now. It's real basic stuff that we're just kind of sweeping through. Okay, so when you're going to quote this product, basically what we're going to do is we are going to go to the internet, the World Wide Web, and the first thing that you're going to do is you are going to go to a website, and that website is going to be www.winflexweb.com. WINFLEXWEB.com. Everyone will be using the same username and password. For those of you that are taking notes, I've just sent it into the chat function here. So you're going to use the username of AB Agents, and then your password is going to be AB9500. Those of you that have completed contracting and have been active on this particular product already have been set up in the system. Crystal has added you in here. If you have not done contracting, haven't completed and gotten your writing number, she hasn't added you in here. You have access to it, but your agent name won't be listed, and we'll have to do that on your behalf. Once you get in here, you're going to have two options. You're going to have Start WinFlex or WinFlex Express. Just go to Start WinFlex Web. And the only carrier that you're going to see located here, as you see it in the middle of my screen, is going to be TransAmerica. You're going to select that TransAmerica, and then what we are going to do is we are only going to be discussing for today's conversation. It's called the Trendsetter LB 10, 15, 20, 25, or 30. So what I do is I scroll down here until I find my Trendsetter LB, and here's my LBs. And the 10, 15, 20, 25, or 30 refers to the length of time. And the LB refers to the living benefits. Remember, this is a life insurance policy that you do not have to die. So for today's illustration, let's select the 15, and then you click on Create Client. Once you create the client, now you're going to put in your insured's name, sex, date of birth, age, class status, or class verification. Now you would refer to your Trendsetter option because we were going to be doing standard on this for when we were talking about that sheet that we were looking at a minute ago. State of issue is Florida. Next, we click on the tab. There are different tabs that you can see my mouse is moving on here, and these are just different areas of the application, of the illustration that we're going to have to put in here. So the next thing is going to be the face amount, and this is where we're going to control the driving factor of if they're going to get a paramed or if they're not. So if I did a policy for $249,000, and how is the premiums going to be paid? I want to pay on a monthly basis, so we select monthly. Years to print is fine. Now we have to have the living benefits illustrated in here in the projected age 1, 2, or 3, and those benefits, that projected age, must be within the confines of the term that we've selected. So if we're quoting someone that is going to be 38, as we're doing now, and I'm doing a 15-year projection, I can't select what is going to be the living benefits when that person is over the 15 years. So I can't go to someone who's over 53 years old. So these three projections, I could put 42, I can put 49, and I could put 52. I can't put a number past 53 because if the policy is not going to be in force at that time. And it will give you an error on it and it won't look right. Income projection option is not necessary. Policy riders, if you were adding child riders or any other riders, would be done here. You would click yes, and then you could input that information. This is where you would select your agent information. You should be listed in the list over here. If your name is not in that list, then you're going to have to get with Crystal or I, and that way we can add you in here as well. Select you as the agent, click Update. And now I would have to hit the button of Calculate. If something doesn't work right after you're hitting Calculate and it doesn't bring you to a proposal, then you made an error in one of those other areas. Typically, what I've found is the problem that everyone is having is when you're dealing with those living benefits in those three ages. So please make sure that that is the first thing that you check before you say, this is not working, this I don't understand. On the left-hand side, you're going to see a snapshot, which is going to give you an idea. Most of us, this will be Greek to. We're going to have the policy information. Really, what you need to concern yourself with is the illustration package. The illustration package is what needs to be provided for your client. It is 13 pages, so you don't necessarily need to print the whole thing. But you can see here on page 2, it clearly is going to tell us what the face amount of that policy is, what the monthly premium is, and then what it'll do is it will break down how those premiums are going to be addressed from living benefits, how the face amount can be accessed at the 3 different years that you have put in here based upon the accelerated payouts for chronic illness, terminal illness, and critical illness. So you don't necessarily have to do the math. The math is pretty easy to do. But if you're not very good with the math, it is going to be done right here for you. So you can see that I can, for someone my age, would be able to get a $249,000 policy for $63.19 a month. That is going to be the new term. You have the old term or the new term. Very basic. First application, once someone says yes, you're going to do this on paper. And then if you need those forms and documents, all of those forms and documents are located on the Brokers Alliance website, and that way you can access those. Again, it's just talking about it. You have to be able to get to this WinFlex site. You've got to be able to run that quote. It is something that you can call somebody back and get the quote. You don't need to necessarily do this on the fly like we're used to doing with health insurance. This product is a little bit more complicated. So because this product is a little bit more complicated, you can really easily get somebody excited about it and tell them all the ins and outs about the product. But when it comes to actually running the rates, seeing what's good for them, That's when you can start to understand that, okay, this is going to take more than a minute. Now, if I needed to change this, because I've done these quotes with clients on the phone because I find it to be rather simple, but if I gave this price to my client and I said, well, it's $63 a month, and he says, well, I want more, well, that's a tough problem to have. But if I went here and I changed this to, watch the difference now. Those of you that were paying attention, we said that the $63.19 for that $249,000 policy, this is what I was talking about before. Now, that's at $249. We said $63.19. Now, if you notice, I just made it $250,000. I just added $1,000 more on the same policy. Now, if I come down to my illustration package, it's going to open it up on this other window. Look at the difference in price. Those of you that are still paying attention, it is $1,000 more insurance, reduces my price by $30 a month. Boom. That was for Mr. Anthony. So it's going to drop my price down to $33.47. And why is that? Because it's not non-med. So you have to understand that. Understand that you can get that person who may be on the fence, a little questionable kind of scenario. Stay under the $249. Know that the price is going to be a little higher. Get the policy issued. Make sure you get the policy issued, because how much money do you make and how much good to your client do you do if you don't get that policy issued? Not very much. Not so much. So now we go back to what we were talking about here. I can also take this, edit this, and if we wanted to do a much higher price policy, now if I'm willing to do the paramedical examination, I could probably get myself a $450,000 policy for around that $60. I may even be able to get more. Let's take a look and see. And not bad, pretty close. So for 58, so I can take my face amount from $249 to basically $450,000 to $500,000 if they're willing to do that paramedical examination and keep that price around that $60. So be conscious of the insurability. Know how to migrate this. Know how to click these illustration packages. Know how to edit them and change it around. Now, if I wanted to go ahead and change this from a 15-year term to, let's just say, a 20 or a 30, I could simply come up here to the product. I can click Change. Come down here and switch it to a 30-year. Now I would click Update Client. It's going to keep all the information that I had in that client, in that information right here. And now I can recalculate once I get my policy info. Once I have my insured information, I hit Calculate. Now it's going to bring that up. Illustration package again. Obviously the rate is going to be higher because now I am dealing with a 30 years worth of coverage. I scroll down. And still, that's not bad. It's only $100 a month, giving me $450,000 worth of coverage. Again, with those three other areas of coverage. And remember, is it the old term or the new term? Really commit that sentence to memory. Real basic, very straightforward. I don't think it's a very complicated life insurance product. It is not a whole life policy. It is still a term policy. It's not going to be building any cash value. This is a term with multiple areas of access to the face amount of the policy. Okay. So I'd like to open it up to questions now on the WinFlex web perhaps, or on this particular product. Does anyone have any questions that you'd like me to address? Would everybody like me to say boom again? Okay, so does no one has any questions when it comes to this Trendsetter or the Fidelity? We'll open it up for all questions. All right. Well, very good. Thanks everybody for joining us today. I really appreciate your time. I know that you're going to have questions. That's why we continue to do these meetings, so that way you can feel comfortable about this product. Thanks for taking the time out of your day. And I would say call me with any questions whatsoever. Oh, hold on. We have a late arriving question. Does the customer have to sign the illustration package? The illustration package can be emailed to the client. There's no signature location on the illustration because it's not building cash value. So with this particular illustration, they aren't going to demand a signature. So that is typical. If a policy that's going to be having cash value, that's where we're going to have to deal with that signature. Good question, Mr. McLean. But and again, Mr. McLean, you understand that this is non-med up to 250. Well, 249.9999. All right. Can an ROP be added to this? I don't believe so. I would have to check on that. I don't believe you can add. Let's take a look. I don't believe that you can add. Nope, I don't have it. I closed it. Let's see. I'll check for you, Mr. McLean. I don't believe a return of premium can be added to this particular policy. But I'll find out. All right. All right, everybody. Well, I hope everybody has a great day. And thank you for joining us again, and I appreciate your time. Take care now. Bye-bye.